And the yes, good morning, good afternoon, good evening, wherever you might be in this global village. We are delighted that you've joined us today, and this is a special day indeed. We do have an opportunity to interact. This is a place where we have brave conversations, healthy conversations. We usually think of the three D's. We dialogue to discover so that we decide on the next steps. And I think this is something we try to keep at the back of our minds as we interact on today's Africa. And of course, you are tuned in to today's Africa on LoveBay Afrobeat Music Talk Radio. This is the number one African Caribbean music online system that you will ever find on planet Earth. And I really mean that. It's on 24/7, and you can log in any time of the day. There's always, and I mean always. I was talking to a group of participants the other day, and I said we should always be careful about using the word always, because sometimes we use this word always, and it's not always like that. But I said, in this context, we're always on, and you can take that to the bank. So thank you for making time to be with us today. Today we have a very, very special topic. And before we get into it, I would like to remind you, please log into our system, lovebay.com, and subscribe, like, share this channel with others so that others get to know what is happening. We don't want this to be one of those best, secrets kept from everybody, but we want everybody to be aware of it. So again, this is your host, Dr. FM. We're delighted that you've joined us today on Love Bay Afrobeat Music Talk Radio, and we're going to be talking about the search engine for us by us. What a topic! Search engine, the search engine for us and by us. And we're delighted to have two special guests today. We have Mr. Corie, and his last name is Moment, and I was just saying what a moment this is. And of course, we also have Mr. James Watkins, sorry, my apologies, Watkins, who is with us as well. So, gentlemen, we're delighted you have joined us today, and thank you for making time out of your busy schedules to be with us. And let's start with Mr. Watkins. Mr. Watkins, who is Mr. Watkins? And then we'll take it from there. Take a moment
Uh,
to let us know who you are.
okay. Well, number one, I like what you said. The moment that takes me back to the old drifters group. This magic moment, and this is a magic moment in history for technology, especially black technology. And thank you for having us. I am excited, and we want to introduce a new platform, a new search engine, and like you said, for us, by us. I do believe that this is the only black owned search engine globally that exists that will be able to help our melanated communities. So we are so excited, and I really want to plug Mr. Corey Moment. He is the brains behind this great vision, and if we could only catch the moment, this is a platform that will be able to benefit the melanated communities in many ways. So we want to introduce this new platform to the world. Like I said, this is historical. I'm excited. We want you to get excited about what is coming uh, very soon. Okay.
Mr. Watkins, this is exciting, but I know that there are some things about you that has led you to be part of what's going on. So, would you take just a little minute or two just to tell us who are you? What has
Oh,
brought you to this?
okay.
Who is this gentleman who is part of such a big thing that is just about to be birthed?
Okay. I come from Chicago, Illinois, and I started in the music industry at a very early age. 16, I recorded my first um, single. Well, I was with a group called the Martinells, and the record did very well. It made number 8 on the national charts, and so the music career developed into um, my singing with the great group, the Bill Pinkney and the Original Drifters, and also I have I'm very proud. I'm a very proud father to have a very famous daughter uh, who sings lead for the iconic group TLC, T-Boz. So she has really made a impression on the music industry with TLC, and they still hold the record far as being the only female group in the world who has sold a record number of CDs. So they hold the record even to today. So basically, this is who I am, and I'm proud also to be a part of this great project, Mela Technology, and we want everybody to jump on board. We need everyone's input. We need your assistance. So join us, please. And we want this to become a movement where we'll be able to change the fabric of the melanated community, the black and brown communities. So it should help in some way, help all of us across the globe. So like I said, I'm super excited, and I am. I just can't wait to get started.
Mr. Watkins, I can tell that it's kind of difficult to really separate who you are with what you are birthing and a part of, because it's just oozing out of you, and this is
Yeah.
great.
Yes,
This is great, and we'll definitely get
it
into
is.
a little more of this. You just stole my thunder when you said we want this to be a movement,
Yes.
because when I think of a moment, and we have Mr. Moment who is going to be speaking to us in a moment,
Yeah.
we really want to move away from a moment to a movement. We don't want
Yes.
this to be like we're just birthing something and it was birthed, and then it's like, oh well, you know what, there was something that ever, that came into being at some point. No, we want this to be a movement. So, Mr.
Yes.
Moment, you are in this moment. Please let us know who you are. And I was really delighted. I mean, when I look at you and I look at Mr. Watkins and I look at myself, I'm looking at our faces. I'm like, yeah, we've been around a little bit, and you are looking young man, and you're looking good. And for me to hear that you are the brains behind all this, that's exciting. But
Yes.
who are you? What has led to this? After you tell us who you are, you know so when we think of Corie Moment, who is Corie?
Well, thank you for having me again. I'm glad to be here. I got my start as well in the music industry at the age of 16. I started out with a boy group called Vision, and we toured a lot with the Williams Brothers, just a lot of big names in gospel music. From there, I barged into a solo career, and I was singing with a couple of other major groups as well. But what started this has been the personal experiences that I've endured early on in life, dealing with racism and seeing the events of what happened from the period of Trayvon Martin to George Floyd, uh, those events, and it really sparked up something in me to cause me to want to actually take action and to use my platform for more than just what I've done. And so it's been very important and vital that I do something that helps to benefit the Black community. So I started out first of all with a children's book called The Untold Beginning, and this was 2 years ago. I really put a lot into it, and I focused on putting this book out. So it's in stores now, The Untold Beginning. It's in Barnes and Noble Books a million globally. Um, So I started out with the children's book for us to tell our story, um, and telling it from a biblical perspective. I wasn't satisfied. I felt like I wasn't doing enough with that. So I created a web hosting company. And I thought to myself, I said, well, that's not going to benefit us. So I thought about it really long and hard. And again, that passion driving me and personal experiences, it's like God just downloaded into me and said, a search engine. And the reason being is that, and I understood it totally right away because we don't own anything in terms of communication. We don't control it as Black people. And when the World Wide Web was introduced to us in the early 2000s, white men actually they created platforms for themselves early on. They bought servers. They started, creating domain names, you name it, so many different things. And I remember that time when they did, and there was a big push for if you had a business, you should get a website and a domain name. I remember the time, and so companies began to establish domain names, and one out of all of them became the largest, and that was GoDaddy. They own the largest database of domain names. Well, there was a Black social media website called blackplanet.com. And this was in the early 2000s, probably around 2003, 2004 maybe. They launched as a social media website, I think the world's first for Black people. And they had under 100,000 members at the time. And it was a thriving platform for social media for us. Mark Zuckerberg he got access, found out about it. He took the whole concept and he reinvented and launched Facebook. Well, what made Facebook more successful was that his white counterpart actually owned the database, GoDaddy. So GoDaddy provided the information for Mark Zuckerberg so that Mark Zuckerberg could have a collage of information of users. So once he launched with a million followers with a million that access. So I realized early on that we don't own anything, and even in life, we learned late in the game how important it was to own real estate and to invest in real estate. So we got in late because we learned late the value of it. And just like in regular, typical real estate, buying properties and selling and renting and things like that, the digital industry also has real estate, and that real estate is data. How do you control that data is by web hosting, search engines. Search engines are how you collect that data. And we provide so much data to the digital industry that we're dominant in that sector. In fact, there are 2.5 billion Black and brown people globally. And keeping that in perspective, when you think about the move that Google just made to remove Black and brown cultural events, our just basic existence, and acknowledgement of our historical accomplishments and our leaders from their calendar, just acknowledging us, even the way that they did in celebrating us. That opened up a large market for us. So what God gave me was to create a search engine, and we call it MelaSearch. And how MelaSearch functions is that it will allow the user, so the same as the user would visit Yahoo, Bing, or any of the other sites. Generally, when they visit those sites, the front page is going to be, the news, all the major events that's going on in the country where they are, and it's location based, and it also will provide some world news. But the information it gives, it doesn't reflect us. MelaSearch will do just that. When the user visits the site, the local news, the national news, the world news will reflect images and our biggest stories. It will reflect relevant issues pertaining to us. Any of the tabs that the user visit, from business, dealing with our economical status, Black people that are, are operating in the wealth industry, trade, and stuff like that, things like that. From the Life tab, which has health, beauty, real estate, um, and sports, entertainment, social, which lists all social media websites in the world that are black and brown, that's relevant to us. And one of the beautiful parts about this is that each tab will have a world link. Okay, so the user will be able to click the world link, given a list of countries, and he can select the country. And once he does, he get that relevant information pertaining to the tab that he selected. So he'll still get the same information. And information is so powerful because I talked about from the George Floyd era to Trayvon Martin and all of the killings of black men. There were things happening during the George Floyd protests and events occurring that black people were not aware of.
Sounds like our brother just disappeared there. We hope
Uh,
we get him back.
yes, I don't know what happened, but
Yeah.
yeah, just to chime in, what Mr. Corey was saying, Mr. Moment was saying that there was a lot of information during that time of George Floyd that was not um, given to us. In other words, we were left out of a lot of the information that was given. Also, if you want to fast forward, what happened here in the United States in Cincinnati a couple weeks ago, when some of the Nazi um, boys came into Lincoln Heights, in which was a predominantly black community, and they started hanging hate flags and Nazi swastikas and all that in the black community. But once the word got out what they were doing, the entire community came out and chased them out of their community and took their flags from them. But just to give you information, none of that was televised on any of the um, major news stations. So once again, we were not informed about what was going on, and I'm sure there's other activities that's going on right now in the United States that we don't even know about because the information is being censored. Some of the information is being shadow banned on social media. So by us controlling our data and being able to communicate with the black and brown community to let them know what's going on around them is very important, especially these days where we have a new administration that is really making major changes that's going to affect the black and brown communities. It's already affecting us already, but this is one reason why we want to
Mhm.
stress the importance of this platform where as black and brown communities, we will be able to be informed and stay in touch. And Mr. Corey is back. So if you want to pick up where you left off.
That's right. Actually, you know what? I know we're sorry for that technical glitch there, but you were touching on something really, really profound, Corey. Um, and I really like what I'm hearing.
Great.
It's like the information you're sharing is not the kind of information that we usually hear. You know, when I hear of the World Wide Web and its beginning and the relationship with GoDaddy and Facebook, and now we're talking about this, search engine, mailer technology, and all that, and I'm like, this is great. It's wonderful to have young men like yourself who is looking into the current structures and capitalizing on opportunities. And so that's why I said I really hope that we're not just going to be excited about the moment. We want this to move into a movement. And
Right.
so
Amen.
this is really, really exciting. So to those of you who are just joining us, this is your host, Dr. FM, on Today's Africa, where we are talking about uh, a search engine that has never been heard of before, that is unique, the only one of its kind. And we're just saying the search engine for us, by us.
Yes.
What you mentioned about how some people have manipulated things, and Mr. Watkins has said the same thing here as well, manipulating the data so that it fits their narrative and whatever they want to communicate. Now,
Yes.
hearing you gentlemen, both of you now, I'm thinking, okay, I know Mr. Moment made reference to Trevor Martin and our brother, the late George Floyd. I usually think of that as in his failure, in his struggle to breathe, he has breathed new life into the world. And a lot of good things have come out of this. Police jurisdictions have had to change the way they do things. Communities, in terms of standing up, I know there was the commitment to saying, let's, because we were mad.
Oh yeah.
Yes,
As some of my brothers like to say it, we was made. We was mad. you know, we were mad, and for a good reason. But it was wonderful to see how there was a sense of professionalism and humanity, ubuntu, as we say in Africa, that said, listen, we can't be destroying things that belong to everybody and to us, because tomorrow morning we need to go to these places and function. So let's be civil. And so when I hear what you're talking about, gentlemen, this is exciting. This is really, really exciting. Corie, I know we had that technical glitch and then you kind of disappeared, but now you're back. So let's focus on that in terms of, so now this is what has been happening, and you're talking about we have to own something, and I like that concept. We have to learn to own,
yes,
because culturally, even for Theo and myself, who are Africans and now African Canadians, we don't own much because we've been told that you don't own anything. You are nothing. So you depend on somebody. You're not proud of what you own. But you gentlemen are saying no, and rightly so. We need to own something, and
Yes.
this is where this
absolutely.
Mela search is coming. So by owning it, what exactly would it do for us?
Okay, so and again, I want to highlight where it changes what you just said and just kind of comment on it. Yes, we saw a great movement. We saw things occur during the George Floyd protests, but one of the things I wanted to comment on, it was the suppression of information and how we could not obtain truthful information of events that was occurring at the time. One of those events was something that never televised or publicized nationally or globally, which was the Beatties Ford Road event that happened in Charlotte, North Carolina. This is where a bunch of white men got in vehicles and they drove down the Beatties Ford Road, which is a predominantly black community where protests were occurring, and they shot dead 5 people that night. Nobody ever went to jail. Black people protested the following Saturday. They came back again and shot dead a 14-year-old black boy. So now when you go on Beatties Ford Road, on both sides of the streets are memorials, balloons and flowers on both sides where the plazas are. But most people don't know of that happening. They have no knowledge of it. And I think what happened, even though it appeared to be that we were making some strides and some progression in the movement, we still saw Minneapolis, police still doing the same things. And what we see today is the evidence of that rebellion and that rejection of what we pleaded and what we've been asking for about 400 years. After slavery, here we are, and we've not gotten anything. But what we've got now is more of a bold stance and more of, hey, in your face, this is who we are. You take it or leave it, and we tell you what to do. That superiority complex that they seem to have. So before MelaSearch, MelaTech, our stance was to be reserved and the thought of inclusion. But after talking and seeing the things that this administration has done, along with a large majority of of Europeans in this country, we decided, well, they're being intentional. We need to be intentional as well. So we've got to focus on what fits us. And so you asked the question, how does this benefit us? The way that it benefits us, one, is with what I just said. We get to tell our story. We get to highlight what's going on in our communities, and we know it's going to be truthful. We get to actually collaborate and form relationships with media outlets such as yourself and other journalists that who have either local reputations or platforms, and even the national or the global black and brown journalists as well. So we get that's a benefit to us. Another benefit is that the users that actually utilize the search engine, we're able to collect that data and be able to build the search engine and improve it based on the user's experience, if you will. So we get to improve that, as well as with marketing opportunity. We get that as well. And see, one of the biggest things with advertisement and the way that it works with search engine is that as our user base grows, our value grows in advertising and marketing. And I'm sure LoveBay has the knowledge and experience of that as well. So that benefits us in a tremendous way, and the way that we're structured, and the ability to take some of that revenue and then devote it back to Black communities globally and improving our quality of life, our resources, and things of that nature. This gives us the platform. The average tech company like this, who's doing what we're doing, they're in the $300 to $500 million revenue, probably on a monthly basis. You know, the Googles, they're $1 trillion company. Yahoo, Bing. I mean, these guys, they make a lot of revenue from this. So this would be able to provide hefty revenue streams for our community to invest, into certain things that we do need, things that we've not had. Another way that it benefits us is by intercontinentally connecting. I spoke of the world link on each tab. When you press it, you'd have a list of countries and you could select the country you're interested in. So say you're wanting to relocate from Canada and you're wanting to go somewhere in Africa. Well, you've been hearing on all of these European-owned media outlets that Africa is a dirty place and all these negative things. And you get to select and click on the link, and you get to find the country you're interested in to get the truth and find that Africa is amazing, beautiful
Yeah,
homes,
it
thriving
is.
communities and cities, transportation, state-of-the-art technology as well. Just so many beautiful things. So it gives that user the ability to not only see the truth, but also if they're interested in really relocating and purchasing real estate, they can find those connections and those links within that portal. So there's a tremendous amount of benefits, and it doesn't just stop at one industry. This is across every career platform. There's a benefit.
This is amazing. You know what? I really get excited hearing these kinds of things coming from you. And please don't take this as being disrespectful, but this is exciting, young men. Thank you for bringing these ideas to the forefront so that we can do something about it. One of the things that stands out for me is we're not just talking about an idea that is going to be shelved. You're talking about something that is responding to real needs.
Yes.
And you understand the social media, you understand the structures behind what we see. And to have you in this role is um, I mean, for lack of a better word, it's energizing. It's inspirational, and we really need to take it to the next level. So I know this is something in the making. So what's happening now, and what would be some of those challenges that we are facing before we actually birth this out? So I will let you respond to that in a moment. To those of you, our listeners and viewers around the world, who have just joined us. Thank you for making time to be with us on today's Africa on LoveBay Afrobeat Music Talk Radio with your host, Dr. FM. And we're delighted that you made time to be with us. We go live every Saturday at 11 Eastern Standard Time. And this number one African Caribbean diaspora online radio, it's a unique one where we not just about music, but we also have a variety of programs, including today's Africa, where we talk about things pertaining to us as part of the human race, and but also focusing on the fact that uh, systems have not been very sympathetic to us. And so we're coming up with creative ideas. And that's one thing I really admire and appreciate about who we are. There's so much resilience. I mean, we think of what you mentioned happening in Cincinnati, Mr. Watkins, and what happened in Minnesota, and what has happened around the world. I mean, way back to Dr. Martin Luther King,
Yes.
how he would continue to just still say, I have a dream that one
Yes.
day, even though that dream cost his life, the dream is still yet to be realized. And
Yes.
so what is happening now is just inspirational. You know, I was talking to someone and I get, these are the kinds of things that give me chicken skin. And they're like, what is chicken skin? And I said, well, goosebumps. And what is that? And I'm like, I can't explain it any further, but I get excited about this. So what are some of the challenges that we are facing before we can realize this? So both of you can chime in and share some of the things from your perspective. How then would we be able to take this and bring it into reality?
Well, I think one of the things that we're dealing with right now is in terms of development and the cost that it takes to do this. And we're approximately 80%. And we're right now in a place where timing is everything. And I often talk about seasons of life. And it just like, you know, our standard weather seasons. Life has seasons. Well, Black people, we have a season and we're in it right now. And
Yes.
we got to, as you quote, no pun intended, seize the moment. You know what I mean? Um, so this time right now, we've got to move, and it's important to launch this platform. We also have a video streaming platform, and I'm so thankful to have Mr. Watkins as a senior vice president of this company. I couldn't think of any better person to have picked and chosen for this. And I often tell
Thank
him,
you.
I make sure I tell him that, let him know that he's the balance for me, you know, with wisdom and experience. So, and that's extremely important. But one of the things that we deal with right now and that we're looking at is the ability to be able to get this thing out, get the platform out as quick as possible, because we're developing, as I was saying, a video streaming platform. So if you had to kind of figure out, you know, what that would look like, if you can picture YouTube and Netflix coming together and they had a baby, then that would be this video streaming platform. It's called MelaTube. So one side's content creators for people like yourself. You can create a channel like you would on YouTube, but with more advanced features. The opposite side is subscription based, similar to Netflix. So, but it's all black and brown movies and content, kid friendly stuff as well. So in order for us to do this, we're going to need the support. And for great things, you need a great amount of people to make it happen. So we need the public's assistance financially, as well as innovative interjection as well. So anyone that has a background in tech marketing, you know, so on and so forth, journalism, you name it, we need those relationships, those collaborated relationships. They're going to benefit us in a major way. We have a partnership and affiliate program where we're allowing distribution of shares to be given with affiliate relationships, along with other perks that come with it. So we're looking for we're looking for investors, large and small, and we're also looking for more, you know, just you know, a team. We need that. It's going to take that. We cannot do
Yep.
this alone. So some of the things that we're dealing with, we're looking at right now, and I don't want to call them hindrances, but these are some of the hurdles that we're having to jump with development, financial, making sure that we can fund this, and then be able to market it and make sure that everyone knows. Um, and just like today, how we're here today, and thank you all for having us.
Yes.
Um,
Hmm.
we're going to need to do more of this. And we've got to reach more platforms, more radio and television platforms. And that's something that we're working on right now, building that campaign. Mr. Watkins, you have anything to add to that?
Well, thank you, Corey. I agree with everything you just said because this is a great opportunity, especially for anyone who wants to invest. And of course, when you invest, there is a in well, you can say income or um, financial return on your investment. So I, if you can imagine the platform reaching, say, 50 or 100 million viewers, um, there's no stopping what we can do, what we can achieve. I'm sorry, as a collective group of people. And what I want to interject also, this is a great opportunity. This is one thing that I have been looking for years, and that is to bring Black and brown people together. Um, Africa is it's a treasure. It's a untapped market, and if we start trade and commerce between African Americans and Africa, we can build um, many different resources that we can use to benefit us. So it's unlimited what we can do and achieve as a people. So we know that there's going to be resistance. We know that there's going to be challenges. But the thing, any corporation or any successful business uh, has always started with a few, and then you get more involved people and more people who want to be a part of this great movement. I'm going to refer to movement because I look at it as a movement across the globe for Black
Yes,
and
it
brown
is.
people. Yes, coming together, communicating, building businesses. Like I said, it's off the chart. We can build our own educational institutions, our own hospitals, agricultural, Jesus, technology. It's unlimited. So this is a great opportunity for us to really come together, step up to the plate. As Mr. Corey said, with your expertise and also financial. We do need finance, uh, but within our Black and brown community here in the United States, we are a 1.3, 1.4 trillion dollar consumer every year. We spend that type of money, keeping everybody else wealthy except us, which doesn't make any kind of sense. So let's focus on us because everybody else focus on their themselves and keep themselves wealthy and supported. Same scenario. We have to do the same thing, support each other financially, come together, do business together, and like I said, we will see the results. But I just want to say this: I am once again excited about what is about to happen, what is occurring right now. But once again, as my brother, Dr. Corey, we need you. We need you. So please, I'm sure Mr. Corey is going to give the contact information. I'll let him take care of that part. But please contact us and let us know how you want to be a part of
Mm.
this. Okay.
You know what? You had touched on this earlier as well, just in terms of partnerships and opportunities and doing things together as a people. Um, when you talk about 2.5 2.52 billion black and brown people around the world. I
Wow.
mean, that
Wow.
that is a lot.
It's scary.
That is a lot.
Yes.
And then you're tying this in with the consumerism that we find in the Western world and around the world globally, really. It's about accessing and using information for various reasons. And now you're saying we want to make sure that the information that is shared about Black and Brown people is actually coming from Black and Brown people and not
Yes.
something that someone has created over the years. Um, where people still think that, whatever they saw on television way back when, that's what is happening in these parts of the world. And that kind of created a question in my mind. And I was just wondering, I know you talked about your looking into, opportunities to collaborate, the revenue streams and intercontinental links. And I was wondering, so what what channels, what sources are there that you have in mind in terms of getting information about each country, where people would love to get information about? For example, if I wanted to say, okay, you know what, I'm going to South Africa, but in South Africa, I know there's Lesotho and then there's Swaziland. I'd like to go and visit Swaziland. So, how would you then be able to tap into the real happenings in Swaziland?
Okay, so, and thank you. That's an interesting question. One of the things that we have is something called API technology. That information, basically, it's a framed out platform that basically scrapes or gathers information from the internet of the locations and where that data and information may be coming from. So that's something that we could pay for on a monthly basis, or we can build an API, which we're in the process of now. But they're pretty expensive to do it. But it's
Hmm.
basically a database system that's like an engine that scrapes and gathers and pulls that information in so that we're getting real time information all the time. So,
I
and
get
it's
you.
not just getting it from mainstream media, it's getting it even from the local journalists who you don't know of, wherever it may be posted online.
Uh-huh.
Not only that, but networking is key. Networking is key.
Yes.
Uh, Developing relationships directly in every country in the world, that is one of the biggest ways that we're doing it, so that we're reaching out locally to journalists locally and people who are actually on the ground in those countries, to actually assist us and become a part of what we're doing. That's why it's so important for us to build our team, as I said before. And speaking of building the team, I'd like to thank Alistair Coward and MPA
Yes.
for just the relationship with the program director Janet and having us here. So, but it's gonna be very important to build relationships like that, like how we have in Canada right now. We're developing in Nigeria right now, uh, Pakistan, India. So we're developing those relationships globally. Um, and that's how we're going to be able to get the word out and retrieve that data.
I've used this word before. I'm getting even more excited about this because we are talking about something that has great potential to really make a difference in the world. And
Yes.
again, to our viewers and listeners, this is Today's Africa with your host, Dr. FM, on LoveBay Afrobeat Music Talk Radio, the number one Caribbean African online music radio in the world. And not just about music, but different programs and opportunities to dialogue on different topics, on matters that pertain to us as part of the human race. And we are live on over 100 different countries. And so we're delighted that you've joined us today. And again, thank you for being with us. So today we are really in for a very, very special conversation. We are continuing our conversation here with Mr. James Watkins. And uh, a young man, Corie moment, and we are seizing the moment here to talk about something that is to be birthed, and it's going to require each one of us to do something about it. And I'm just so glad that you have connected with one of our directors, Miss Janice, to make sure that you would have the opportunity to be with us. When she mentioned you guys to us, I was just thrilled. I'm like, we should have them come yesterday. So that's why we had to make adjustments and put someone on hold and say, we need to get the word out so that we proceed. So, in terms of next steps, and projection, I was glad to hear that you said it's at about 80%. And something as big as this requires a lot of participation from different people as well. And we're glad that you have connected with LoveBay Afrobeat Music Talk Radio so that we can share about some of these. You talked about relationships. You know, Mr. Watkins and Mr. Moment here, relationships are very, very important because this is one thing I believe is a residue of colonization, imperialism, and you name it, that we don't trust each other. Some other people seem to trust each other quite well, quite easily, but somehow, we have been conditioned. I mean,
Yeah.
we can't continue to blame someone for who we are. I'm not saying that, but I'm just
Yes.
saying we need retooling. We need to think outside the box and without the box and say, what can we do to increase our relational values and put deposits into our relationships so that we can build something like this quickly? I know we have had some brothers and sisters in the past who tried to create banks. Some people
Yes.
came and took them over because they knew they were going to be powerful. And
Yes.
we lost some of those. I mean, I know we have some who are in the background. And now we talk about music. We have people who have progressed and have done exceptionally well. But some of them are lone rangers.
Yes.
They're doing this, me, myself, and I, and nobody else is included. And you build a name for yourself and you're doing very well. And we see that. But where's everybody else who is part of your clan, part of your tribe,
You know something,
right?
Dr. Francis,
Yes, sir.
if I can jump in real quick,
Please do.
when you talk about the relationships and we share something in common, no matter where we are as Black people, and that is the distrust factor. That mechanism and that tactic that was used by the European through colonialism, they did this in Africa, they did it in the Caribbean islands, they did it here in the States, it was used in Canada, no matter where we are. And the reason why, and I've been talking about this lately, it's divide and conquer. The Bible says a
Yes.
house divided will not stand. It can't stand. Okay. So you divide the house. You put differences and you make it appear to be that there's a difference and conflict between the two so that they don't communicate, don't connect, don't come together. Why would they not want us to come together? Because they know, first, it's always been a truth that there's strength in numbers, but there's something more special within us. And if we come together, when we come together, there's no if, because we got to do it
I
now.
like I like that. Thank
This
you.
is the
Yes.
Thank you
season.
for that
Yes.
shift, man. It's not if, but when.
When,
When? Yes.
okay? Because we're doing it now, okay? It's so powerful because of the things that we're producing now and this time in this season. They're tremendously large, and it makes us a huge threat to white supremacy and that model that they've created for themselves. Uh, so I'm just I wanted to just interject that
Hmm.
in regards to relationship building, it's vital that we do start building relationships and doing real business, good business, learning business, being patient with one another,
That's
because
right.
we've not had these relationships before. There was a time when African men and Black American men did not come together and have dialogue. We were divided. We didn't even know who one another were. But now we're talking. Now we're beginning to understand. Now information is being traded. Now we're
Mm.
understanding that, okay, all right, the things that we went through here in America, African men and women were going through something similar, if not worse, over in Africa on the continent. And then we're beginning to understand that if you were from Nigeria, oftentimes you never went to the neighboring country. You never left the borders. So you just knew what was going on in the country you were in.
And then
Um,
the other thing along what you just mentioned there, Corey, is I never went to the neighboring country, but I would be doing everything I can to go to the US and Canada and England and say I've been overseas, but I haven't visited my cousins just across the border, a border that
Yeah.
was created by someone. So
yes,
you are absolutely right. The distrust factor is something that we need to face and embrace its reality and say we don't want it anymore so that we can create a new normal,
Yes.
yes,
because all that has been happening, oftentimes we carry it over without even thinking and
Yes.
not even realizing that the way I think, the way I behave, someone has influenced me to do this.
Yes.
I need to be self-analytical and say, why is it that I don't trust my brother? I want to give you a quick example, and this is true. In Canada, when we talk about um, East Indians, people who come from India, because at some point the Indians were the native Canadians. And then when the real Indians started coming, then they realized, oops, I guess they're not Indians because the real Indians from India started coming. Anyway, I'm saying this because there was a time, and it still is, someone comes from India, they come through relationships, they come into Canada, into Toronto or whatever city, they stay together, share an environment together, share a house together, put
Yes.
their resources together, build equity and buy the house next down the street. And that's how some of these groups have grown, trusting each other, working together and building something together.
yes,
And
Yes.
we need to create that kind of an environment. And now I know there's someone said there's the neatness of philosophy and the messiness of reality. How do we move away from this distrust factor?
Could I chime in
Yes,
on
Mr.
that?
Watkins.
Yes. Um, it's a psychological effect that has taken place over the years. Um, Number one, um, when I guess you could say that slaves were set free, or during slavery, we were conditioned
Mm,
to look up to the white master as our source of help and to keep us in existence. So now that we're free, there's still a psychological effect that affects us when we think, because right now, um, even today, we are dominated by the big major corporations, um, and we are told that we're not a part of that successful America, and we don't belong in that space. But the thing is, what we have to do is to rethink and recondition our minds that, okay, let me say, use this as an example. We're told, and we repeat the same thing, that we cannot work together. That's the biggest lie from hell. We can work together. We can trust each other. But uh, it's been said that if you tell a lie long enough, people are going to believe it. But we have to stop repeating that we cannot work together.
yes, sir.
We should start condition our minds as, yes, we can, and yes, we will.
Yes.
So this is a new era and a new way of thinking. Um, Here's one thing, I'll say this and I'll be finished. The Bible says the first shall be last and the last shall be first. This is the point that I'm trying to make. We are at a pivotal point where we can start building our own. And by now, I would say we should have um, ownership of our own hospitals, our own universities, our own businesses, car making companies, but we have not put our resources together. But if we put our resources together, we can manufacture our own cars.
That's right.
It's possible, it's doable, and it can be done. But it's going to take a different mindset that we have to develop.
You're absolutely right, sir. Even Nikki Smith, who is listening in, she says we have to build.
And
We,
yeah, and own
we
our
have to
stuff.
build each other up. This is where we
Yes,
falter. We have to build each other up, and this cannot just be a good idea, but it's something that has to be
has to
implemented.
be.
Yes.
It has to be.
It's got to happen. Yes.
Mr. Corey, what are you thinking in light of what uh, has just been said? I liked what Mr. Watkins said. We can and we will. We need to start. I liked the fact that you talked about thinking differently. We need to embrace a different
Yes.
mindset,
Yes.
and we ought to flesh it out. You know,
I think that well, what I've learned over the years, and it's not just now, because I've always had this progressive way of thinking. Um, I can think of for the last 15, well, I started doing my research on countries of African descent, people of African descent, and where we were. I started doing that research 20 years ago. And so my knowledge of Africa, even African countries, um, all the way into South America, is pretty extent. And what I learned
sounds
is
like we
that,
should have you. Sounds like, sorry for interrupting. Sounds like we should have you come and talk about your visits to Africa, because we have a lot of people who talk about Africa have never visited. So it's a good thing to have someone who has been there to come on the show and talk about it. So that's not a threat; it's a promise. We will have you back.
well,
Sorry for interrupting.
let me say this. Let me say this. I have visited Africa on the web, not
Okay,
physically.
okay.
Okay, so I'm very much tech savvy. Now I will be visiting Africa and relocating
Yes,
this year, but
I've been there. I've been in Sierra Leone, so I've been there.
that's
Hey, I
good to
love
know.
it. I love it.
That's
yes.
good to know.
So what I'm getting at is that what I've learned, connecting with Ethiopian brothers and sisters, whether they're from Somalia, Senegalese, uh, Rwandan, Eritrean, wherever they're from on the continent, what I found is that whatever I may have missed and did not see within the Black community in America, I have managed to find those things in other brothers and sisters from other locations. And so I learned not to limit myself to just this community here. If I didn't find it here, I could look outside of the walls, outside of the borders, and find someone else who may fit what it is that I need. So I removed the block, the walls, and what you can't do from my mind. And that's how I've been able to, myself, being able to excel and propel past that colonial programming, if you will, that was given to us. And we're going to have to understand and think that and realize that we've got to build relationships. So, and I want to be very intentional when I say this. So when you're out to the grocery store shopping, or you're pumping gas, or you're in you're shopping for clothing, or you're at church, wherever you may be, and you see someone who looks like you, it's a very good idea to be cordial and friendly. Um,
Yes.
so that this is how you meet people, especially when you hear them open their mouths and they have an accent. You know, hello, brother, how are you? Hello, sister, how are you? How's your day? Awesome. And you strike. I do it all the time, and I strike up a conversation because we
Mm.
may have something in common.
Yes.
So
By
for me,
by
I
the
don't miss
way,
an opportunity. Go
by
ahead.
the way, I like to interject every now and again. By the way, talking about accents, everybody has an accent. It all depends who you're talking to and where you're from. Because,
Yes,
you know,
yes.
when you go to Africa, there's this thing that says in every country where, the British colonized and taught people English, you will be amazed how all the way from West Africa to Central Africa to East Africa to Southern Africa, everybody claiming to have been colonized by Britain and having this British English. You're like, you guys don't sound like we all came from the same mother, because we are still so different, and yet we
Yeah.
take pride in this. So, back to your point, we should I should say this. When I first um, came to Canada, uh, this is over 30 years ago, when I was down the street and I saw another person who looked like me, I would be excited and wave, and they would wave back. But you
Yeah.
know what? Now I don't seem to be doing that anymore. So thank you for that reminder. I need to recognize my brothers and my sisters. Now, that doesn't mean we are ignoring everybody else, but we need to acknowledge one another. This is why I love the South African Zulu language, where they say "sawubona," greeting. It's like I see you. That's the
Mm.
greeting. I see you, sawubona. And I'm thinking, how come we don't do that anymore? We kind of look to the side. You don't want to be, greeted, or you look down. Which we shouldn't. We need to build relationships. So I'm sorry, Corie, for interrupting, but you were saying something about relationships, and we need to keep building on
Yes.
this.
Yes, I want to add and really highlight something else I thought about as you were speaking. The reason why we do this is because the reason why we behave the way we do with one another is because oppression has been so tremendously effective
Mm,
towards us, no matter where we are. Poverty, suffering, violence, these things have been embedded into our just the fabric of our almost in our DNA, if you will. Not having um, that has created a competitive nature within us.
mm.
So it's become vital in our minds that whatever we do, it's mine, and I know you want it, so I got to keep you from getting it because I deserve my moment and what belongs to me.
Corey, you're making me angry in a good way, my brother. You really are. You really are. You're touching on a live wire right there, because something has happened. Like I said earlier, we can't continue to blame somebody for who we are and what we're doing, but we cannot ignore the past.
Right.
Things have happened that have impacted who we are today, and this competitiveness that you're referring to, it's embedded in us.
Yes, yes, it is. And in order for us to be able to basically excel and to see a difference, we've got to learn. And I've always told people in the past, if you look at the Chinese, they built huge companies, corporations by working together. It wasn't just by one person's dollar. Indians, they bought hotels together. You know, everybody would get together and put money in, and now they own the hotel. And when they continue to make money, everybody didn't get paid. Guess what? They kept that money, saved it, and they bought another hotel. And so one person from the group, they go to run that hotel. So they continue to make money. Everybody keep doing the same thing till they bought another one. Then another person from the group went to run the other hotel. And they did this. White people have been doing this for years. And I've always said, in order for us to see a difference, and I think in order for us to see a difference, we have to move different. We have to work together. We have to form companies together. And MelaTech, okay, MelaTech is a great example of us having that opportunity now to do just that. We've got an array of product from the search engine, MelaSearch. to MelaTube, the video streaming platform, Mela hosting, the web hosting platform, MelaDesk, our office suite. We have a calendar coming soon, which is a response to Google removing us as Black people from their calendar. So Google, you removed us. We're going to give our own calendar. We don't need yours.
Yeah.
So,
Yes, sir.
so
Mm.
we got an array of
This
products that's
is this
coming.
is this is powerful, man. This is powerful.
Yeah.
And it's going to take all of us to build it.
One thing, we spoke about a movement. If we start a movement right here on Love Bay, if we start a movement of black, because we have to start respecting each other to build relationships. If we start a movement, Black Love Movement, and get everybody who's melanated or even white folks, if they want to join it, to buy in, let's start spreading love among ourselves. Because the thing is, psychologically, as Dr. Corie said, we don't respect each other because I've walked by many African Americans and they don't even look at you or speak to you. You have to speak first, and then they look up like, "Oh, you speaking to me?" Yeah, yeah. We have to be friendly, and once again,
That's right.
the Bible says if you want to have friends, you got to show yourself friendly. So these words mean a lot, So let's start a movement, Black Love Movement.
I like that. I know that you gentlemen have made reference to the Bible a few times. One of the things that came to my mind is I was thinking about what we're talking about, and I think um, our brother Moment made reference to this, that there have been times we have been viewed as a threat. So Google
Yes,
takes you off because you're becoming a threat. You're trying to establish yourself in the community and establish banks. That's taken away because you're a threat. In the Bible, one of the things that fascinates me, or one of the things I've observed, is it says in Egypt, the Egyptians said to themselves, if these people continue to increase,
yes,
they will get together and come around and fight us. And they started to be mistreated based on that. It
yeah,
wasn't even part of their plan to create anything that would, um, make them a threat to anybody. They were not threatening anyone. In fact, they wanted to make sure that they live well and in harmony with everybody else. So they were not even planning to be a threat to anyone. And yet someone concluded that, listen, this is what they're plotting and this is what they're going to do to us. So let's start mistreating them. I'm just fidgeting here because I noticed that my power is about to go out. But
Oh, it's
uh,
okay.
yeah, but I'm good now. So we need to do something based on where we are going and what we want to see happen, because there are great things happening and there's great potential for us. And this app, this search engine that we're talking about here is just wonderful. The search engine for us and by us.
Yes.
This is just amazing. I'm looking at the time and I realize, oh my goodness, time is gone. But we are here on Today's Africa on LoveBay Afrobeat Music Talk Radio, the number one African Caribbean music online radio. And we are delighted to have our brother here, Corie Moment, and our brother James Watkins, um, talking about this search engine that is going to change the world. And
Yes.
and it really is and will change the world. Um, we 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 are just delighted.
If I can, I'd like to also point out our Pakistani team, our partners. Novosphere, Mir Majib. I think he's watching live right
Yeah,
now.
I just saw it. Yeah.
Uh,
Hey,
yeah,
Majid,
I just saw the note here. It says, love for
love you
Mr.
back.
Corey and Mr. Watkins, you
yes,
know.
Love you
yes,
back.
Thank you, Murmur Jeeve.
yeah.
Love movement. Yeah.
So we wanna definitely give them a shout out as well. Can we make sure that that the website for people to donate and give make sure that that's up, and we thank our Novosphere partners for making sure that we have that visibility and they're over all of our tech stuff. So melatechnology.org, www.melatechnology.org. So I don't know if we can put that up so everybody
It
can
has
get.
just been put up there as
Yes.
well.
So
So we're glad that our technicians and engineers are on
yeah,
it, and we'll definitely make sure that this is shared as well. So
all
again,
donations welcome, please.
yes,
Yes.
definitely, definitely, and of course, our listeners and viewers in over 100 different countries around the world. Word gets around, and word will get around, and word is getting around about MelaTech, and this is exciting. We have really been blessed today by your presence, Mr. Watkins and Mr. Moment. Thank you for being with us today as we have talked
Enjoy.
about
Thank you
the
for having
search
me.
engine for us and by us. Now, what are some of your takeaways for our viewers and our listeners today?
Mr.
One or
Watkins.
two things that stand out in terms of you might say, you know what, we have talked about all kinds of things today, and but I just want you to remember this or these two
No.
things. What would be takeaways for our listeners today? And like I said, we will have you back. Remember, this is being birthed. So as it is being birthed and the birthing continues, we need to bring you in, and on the delivery date, we will also bring you in so that we can celebrate. I really believe that this is going somewhere. We will
Yes.
and we can and we will do it. So, what are some of those um, uh, comments that you would like to leave with our viewers today? You know what? I just got a note here that I need to bring to your attention so that perhaps you can take a moment to to answer that. Here's a question. With all the modern technology to increase connections with the world, how is it that the poor people's movement was so successful doing the Dr. King's, sorry, during, I think it should have been during the Dr. King's era civil rights movement in the 60s? The messages reach across the nation. We talk about Dr. King having a dream. The problem is, too many people, too many people did not understand the message of Dr. King's dream. Dr. King was not assassinated because he was a Negro, but because of the economic strength. Oh
Yes.
my goodness, that is
Yes. Yes.
powerful.
Yes.
Please
Yes.
comment on that. Comment on that. If it means that we need to take an extra minute or two, let's do this. This is exciting. This is
Yes.
exciting. Again, Sami Ula Shah says love for Mr. Corey
Hey, Sammy.
uh,
Hello, Sammy.
and Mr. Watkins as well.
Yeah.
So this is
Hello. Love,
Good
exciting.
to see you,
love, love you
Sammy.
back, Sammy.
Yeah, love you
So,
back, bro. What
so go
during
ahead,
this
Mr. Watkins.
yeah, I'll be brief. During the 60s, I was a young kid, but I remember Dr. Martin Luther King's movement, and I just said it. The reason why it was successful is because it was a movement. Because Dr. King had the entire African American culture all going in the same direction. Today, we're going in every which way, which does not work.
There
So
was
this is
unity.
it was there you go, unity. So there's unity and the strength in numbers. So that's biblical also. And so once again, it's important for us as black and brown people to look past the differences. It doesn't matter what language you speak. Doesn't matter, what country you come from, because what is occurring now and is scaring the heck out of Europe is Africa, which is 54 countries, are looking to come together as one nation. And of course, we know that during the apartheid, a lot of the Africans' land was taken. Now they're in the process of taking their land back, which is a rightful thing. It belongs to them. So we are setting the record straight, and we have to do the same thing here in the United States. We have to set the record straight. They don't want us to teach or, or learn about our Black history. You cannot stop us. We
That's
will
that's
not.
that's why that's why they're
We will
trying to take
not
it
stop.
away.
Yeah, I don't care what law you put. We are going to teach our history in spite of.
Yes,
So it's
sir.
time for us to break free from the chains that binds us and keeps us from moving forward.
Yes, sir.
And I like one thing that Mr. Corie is saying. It's time for us to show up, stand up, and let them know who we really are instead of them telling us who we are because they
Mm,
don't know who we are.
Yes,
mm,
and we do have to be intentional. And to your point in regards to what was different during that era, I believe that we were driven by passion. Black people were driven about by the passion of change. And what caused us to be able to get that message to answer that uh, the listeners' question, what caused us to get the exposure back then was that passion. That was the fuel, the gasoline. It's the same as the story of the Underground Railroad. Even though it started out as a small movement, there was such a passion for change, and people knew that something had to happen. They found a way to get the word out to various individuals in different areas to make sure that they got as many people out of the South as they possibly could.
mm.
So that was the fuel that was needed for the change, and that helped spread the word. That fuel, and that's what we've got to have now. We've got to have the fuel in order to see the difference in making sure that the word get out. That we talk about the search engine, MelaSearch,
Yes.
that we direct people to the website. That we don't be selfish with the information that we're receiving today. That we find 10 people, and this is a call to action. Find 10 people that you can talk about, you can talk to talk about this project, directing them to to LoveBay Radio, so that they can actually get the information, watch this video recording, so that they can visit the website, so they can join, they can become a part, they can reach out to us, and they can become engaged in what we're doing to actually see a difference. And the beautiful part about this will affect us. It doesn't matter where you are, whether we're here in the States, if we're in India, Pakistan, we have all been affected by colonialism. And so the duty to actually see change for our children and to make a difference is immense. The responsibility. We've got to see a difference because there is an agenda of superiority by the European. And that's by any means necessary for them. So guess what? We've got to be intentional and by any means necessary for us.
Oh, you nailed it. Our brother Earl Sorrell just said that Dr. King brought economic power from
Yes,
all races of people. He did not represent the Negroes only. He had every race of people in
there you
these
go.
United States
Well,
walking in the same direction, not
Hmm.
separated by race, but as one nation,
I I
as
want to
one
come.
nation of the people.
I got
Yeah.
to comment. I got to comment on that. And often we do. We as Black people we're inclusive. That's in our nature. But Dr. King, that message and the movement that he stood in front of could not have happened if it had not been for the struggle of not only Black Americans, but our Haitian brothers, our Caribbean brothers and sisters. You
And
can't forget
yep,
Haiti because of what
even
they
white.
did. Our African brothers and sisters. It wasn't a movement and a struggle for white people or anyone else. Everyone else that came to America benefited from the struggles and the fight of Black people in America. Okay, because of the things that we went through here. I want to make sure that we say that.
Hmm.
Now, that's not to say that we didn't struggle in other places. We did. But in terms of Dr. King and why he did what he did, yes, he was inclusive for a bigger picture because he had to be at that time. White people were not going to respect or get behind him in any other way. It had to be inclusive. It's just the same as though during the programming of our mind, we feel the need to make sure that we're inclusive to them for with them in regards to our platforms and things that we do. Oh, you're welcome too. We want you to be a part of it as well. We'll mention them before we mention the Asian. You know what I mean?
Mm,
Or our Indian brothers and sisters. We'll mention them. And that's a part of programming. We've been programmed to think that way. Okay. But I am being intentional in saying, I'm proud to have my African brothers and sisters. I'm
yes.
proud to have my Indian brothers and sisters, my Pakistani brothers and sisters, the true Israeli brothers and sisters that look like
Mm,
us, not the
yes.
ones not the ones that were placed there in the early '60s, okay, who run the country now and committing all of the offenses against Gaza. Um, Not those people, because those are not. Even the Bible says, "For there be those who say they are Jew and are not, but they are of the synagogue of Satan." So let's put that out there. That's Bible, okay? So, and it's not being racist to say this. No, it's having a love for our people. And there's nothing wrong with loving your people. You love everybody else too, but we've not been loved on enough, and we've not been celebrated enough, and we've not been projected enough or even represented enough.
Hmm.
We have been underserved. You're talking about a market of 2.5 billion people who have been underserved, and there's no media outlet that has projected us in a positive manner or
Mm,
have propelled us. On
Hmm.
Facebook right now, if they decided to shut this platform down, there's nothing we can do. What if Trump passes a law and says, hey, Facebook, you're no longer allowed to do this with black people?
He's
yeah.
getting around to it.
Yeah.
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 Let me say this real quick.
Okay.
The, no, this is not by any means a race thing, a race platform, because the thing, what's I'm going to speak about the United States. There's a lot of hatred in the United States, and it really stems from the European mentality. Because the thing, uh, if you look through history, we as Africans are the ones who invented civilization. Now, just a minute, civilization, to be civilized. If we as African Americans stood up, say if we become, or say if Kamala Harris was in the White House, you would not see all this chaos and hatred. In other words, if we as a people, African Americans and other black and brown people, became in power, this is one thing, one fear of the white race here in the United States. And we have to talk about these things. Um, White people are not superior, you know, but yet and still they want to be. So they classify themselves, I'm a white supremacist. But that's their thinking. But, and they're afraid if we gain control that we would do something or we would harm them. That's their number one fear. That's why they want to hang onto their guns, the Second Amendment. But they're so wrong. If we became in power, we would treat them with love and kindness, and we would make sure that they are taken care of like everyone else. So that's their way of thinking. That's their fear that they live with on a daily basis. That if we became in power, that we would do to them what they did to us.
That's
But
right,
that,
and which is really based on misinformation. And you're
yeah,
absolutely right. You're absolutely right, Mr. Watkins. I know our viewers. You have been with me here, your host, Dr. FM, on
thank
LoveBay
you.
Afrobeat Music Talk Radio. And thank you, Mr. Watkins, and thank you, Mr. Moment, for giving us a moment of your time this day so that we could have this dialogue. And like we said, we will bring you back. And
Please,
to our um, viewers and listeners out there, thank you very much for making time to be with us. You have been with us for the last hour, And someone just mentioned another point again, Mr. Earl Sorrell, Sorrell, who said that this is the point um, with Dr. King. He understood what it took to develop economic power. And if you do not own anything, what value do you bring to the table? But
Right.
if you own the following, the following of the people that are struggling, then you grow in numbers when they follow a movement that controls um, the purse. And
Amen.
I could not think of anything better to end on. And again, thank you for being with us. And of course, to our listeners and viewers, we thank you for making time to comment, chime in, ask questions. We take delight in that. And so thank you, thank you, thank you for being with us on today's Africa with your host, Dr. FM on LoveBay Afrobeat Music Talk Radio, the number one African Caribbean music radio online. And I really mean that. It's on 24/7. So please let others know about the great things that are happening in and around us. And of course, like I said, we are live on YouTube, LinkedIn, Facebook, and of course, StreamYard. And so, again, thank you for being with us this day. I just want to remind you that coming up at 1 p.m. is the Caribbean Flavor with Mr. Marcus and Mr. Jen to Blue. And you don't want to miss that. So, that's the next one right after this. So, stay tuned and thank you for being with us today. We will see you next week and keep up the good work. We will and we can make a difference, and we are going to behave differently and think differently as well. So thank you again for being with us today. This is your host, Dr. Ephraim, signing off.